And it says we are live on the air. I'm waiting on the live over here for it to tell me I'm live, and I don't see anything going on over here. There, I can see me now. All right, everybody else can see me, so we're good. All right, cool beans. I don't know how many's joined. Don't really care. All right, guys, we are here with Matt Snow from Inside the Mind of Matt. We did, for some reason, my audio card decided to go out in my computer, so we do not have the live call in on the Discord. I will have Discord up, so you will be able to type in the chat. You will be able to type in your questions down in the interview channel chat. So without further ado, I am Walter, and this is Country 3D live with Matt Snow. Welcome to the channel, Matt. How are you?
I'm excellent. How about yourself?
I am fantastic. Hopefully everybody can see Matt. I don't know, and I've already got somebody timed out. Why was it timed out?
I can see me.
I don't know what he's saying. We and all this stuff. I don't know. Anywho, we are live with Matt Snow from Inside the Mind of Matt, and I've got a few questions before we get to the chat. Matt, the way this works is normally I will have the call in, but as we discussed earlier, my sound card has decided not to friggin' work today. So we are going to depend on the chat window and on the Discord questions to fill out what I ask. Hopefully they can see me down in the little window and Matt's in the main window. I think that's the way it should be. If it's not, y'all let me know in the chat. Welcome everybody in the chat, but this is Matt's show. What do you see, Matt?
Let me just check real quick. I think I just see me. I don't see you.
Okay, well you should see me in the little window down there, maybe.
No,
if not, then that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I don't need to be seen. I just need to be heard.
This is all it is.
This is all about Matt being framed up in the frame there. Okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to, yeah, that's fine. That's cool. All right, so we're going to start off. You started December-ish of 2017. So you're a year and a half into your YouTube journey, okay? And you know, I went back and I watched, like I told you earlier, I watched all of those videos. So, but really and truthfully, I want to know what made you get into YouTube. I understand, and we'll get to, you know, the 3D printing part, but what made you decide to go to YouTube?
I was on YouTube, but not as a creator, but as a viewer.
Wait, and I got corrected. Was it December 2017 or 16?
It was,
I think it was 16.
December 16, yeah.
16, yeah. That's what I just said, 17, and they're up there. Oh, that's bad math. You know, I'm sorry. The redneck math didn't work for me. But go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry. But what made you get on YouTube?
I was on YouTube. I kind of like decided to learn some things, and YouTube was the place to go. And so I would spend hours just watching videos on doing different things that I was trying to learn, like learn how to solve the Rubik's Cube. And I spent, you know, hours watching different videos and stuff like that. And of course, I learned how to play the harmonica. And then one of the channels that I followed put out a video on how to make a foundry, you know, metal melting foundry. And it's like, I have all this metal in my garage that I've just been waiting for a rainy day to strip and to scrap and to take back. And, you know, the aluminum is, you know, it's not really worth its weight and to take back unless you have a bunch of it. So he was melting aluminum, and I'm like, oh man, I got to make one of them. So then I, you know, did some more research, and as I got researching, it certain things started pointing towards 3D printing, you know, lost PLA and stuff like that. So then I start researching that, and it's like there's not a lot of channels that kind of put those two together.
Right.
There were, but not a lot.
Right.
So I figured I have a niche, you know, here's a niche. So I, you know, started the channel and started melting metal.
And see, that takes me right into the next question about the 3D printing, because I did go back and watch those videos, and it seemed to me that your initial thoughts were, okay, I'm just going to use 3D printing to make me some molds for lost plastic casting. So is that what got you started into 3D printing?
Yes.
Okay. So
that was my idea. And then of course I was captivated by the movement, and and I haven't been able to stop watching them since.
And my question, another question I have is that still your main use of 3D printing? Does it do everything that you wanted it to do for that? And are you mainly using it for that? Because it seemed that metal casting was your hobby before 3D printing came around, and that was just going to be a tool to further that. But how has that shifted now with 3D printing?
Well, the metal casting, I mean, honestly, it was like I saw the video on how to make it. I actually have somewhere on a computer's hard drive the raw footage of me making my foundry. And my computer screen, I closed it one time to reach behind it, and the whole screen cracked. And so the footage is there. So it would be kind of like a lost archives in a couple of years or something when I become, you know, super huge famous on YouTube. But no, what it was is that I figured that I would be captivating or capturing a journey. You know, I'm noob at this, but I'm brave enough. I'm smart enough and stupid enough to go out there and literally melt metal and pour it into molds that I made in my driveway. You know,
yeah.
Craziness. But so I figured, you know, hey, you know, why not see what could happen. I have had this idea in my head that it was kind of like a midlife crisis kind of thing, you know, because if I live to be 95 years or 90 years old, that's a good healthy life. So I'm halfway to there, so that would be my midlife. So YouTube is really my midlife crisis.
Okay, well, I mean, that's fair. That's fair, because my wife tells me all the time, you know, this is just a new hobby. It's just another midlife crisis that you're going through, you know, because it was hobby after hobby after hobby, but this one kind of stuck. So kind of stuck in this one.
And the same kind with me, I'm a worker, and you know, I've always thought that working guys need a way to release after work, whether it be ride a motorcycle or go golfing or whatever, you know. And I was into 3D, or not 3D, but remote control cars and airplanes for a while, and I did the golfing thing, and it was actually on a kind of professional, competitive level paintball team for a while, you know, and you know, all those things cost money, you know.
Right.
So that would be my investment, and then of course the metal to melt is kind of, you know, just a byproduct of me working my regular job. So, you know, getting stuff to melt down, I see these guys are like ripping computers apart and taking the heat sinks out and doing all this. I've got literally raw materials coming out my orifices.
Right.
If you saw what I had to do today, I'm actually going to get pictures of it tomorrow, but did you watch the video where I was melting the coil of the jacket to make the plumb bobs?
Yes, yes.
I literally have 70 pounds of that jacket just waiting to get loaded into my truck on this job site right now.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Because we cut in the first load that I got was the panel side inside the 18 apartments. And the last 2 days, me and my apprentice have been cutting in the meter side of it, which, you know, some of them started out getting 15-foot haircuts.
Right.
15 foot of aluminum jacket plus 5 conductors. The biggest conductors, 3 of them are 4-aught conductor, and it's all solid aluminum. So, like I said, I got so much raw material that I was thinking about today. I could just make a video of. I got this huge pile of aluminum. I'm just gonna melt this down and see how many ingots I can get. You know, and spend a whole day just melting metal, and how much this is gonna turn into. So, well,
yeah, no, I got you. That leads into another question, because my observation of this is either I'm not going to say all, but either you're in the design area of the 3D printing community, or you're in the printing side. Most of the guys that and gals, I guess, that I've known in the printing side, they're either they're 3D designers that print stuff, they are electricians or HVAC technicians, or they're IT guys of some sort. That's what I've ran into. You know, that for the most part, you know, I mean, I have not met one auto mechanic that's a 3D printer guy. You know, I have met 0 farmers, you know, just my observation, but you're an electrician.
Yep.
Okay. So you've been doing that a while, I take it.
22 years.
Yeah, you're a journeyman, is that correct?
I am.
Sweet. But are there other guys that you know in your work, in your area that you work with or you see on any regular basis that are into 3D printing?
I was on a job site, and one of the carpenters walked up to me and said, "So I hear you got a 3D printer." And at the time, I think I had 5. I'm like, "Yeah, I got like 5." And he goes, "Oh, really? Cool." I'm like, I got one too. And I'm like, "Oh, cool." So one thing led to another, and we started talking. He's got a CR10, but he's got a shop bot. So he kind of does more of the CNC kind of stuff. And the 3D printing was more because I think he said his nephew was into drones and wanted to make some parts for the drone, and he knew CNC, so they went and got himself a 3D printer. They're everywhere. Every one of the drone things that I've recorded and gone to, there's been 3D printing guys there. And, you know, it's like, I don't know, I get all focused on one thing, and I forget that, you know, my channel is 3D printing, but I'm showing drones. I should be talking to these guys that are here flying the drones that have 3D printers, right?
Right.
So, you know, it's all improv. There's never a script. There's always hours and hours and hours of me playing out the script in my head. How am I going to do this? I mean, the whole twin thing, I mean, I kind of plan that out, you know, and, you know, I was going to state that in one of my next build videos that I spent so much time farting around with my twin that I put this thing together backwards, like literally. There's only one part that the base I got together right, but like the whole upper part, I had all the lefts and rights switched. So
I got you.
But you know, the instruction on this thing is like, you know, very vague, you know. So
this stream is giving me a fit over here on YouTube. It keeps telling me that I'm not streaming fast enough, but I'm not getting too much fussing about buffering. So
right. I haven't been paying attention to the chat. There's a lot going on. So
I'm going to
go out there. We got 15 watchers.
Yeah, well, that's like I said, we're competing right now. That's why I like these on Monday afternoon, because there's really nobody doing anything on Monday afternoon. But it works out the way it works out. Like I told you, people will come back and watch interviews, so that's cool about that.
And I actually have found that there's a couple guys out there that are like really solid supporters. If they get into you, they're like into you.
Right.
So I've got some huge support where I guarantee that they're going to comment, they're going to watch.
Well, that's good. That's good. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you being on here. Well, I've got a couple of people that say it's fine. So, all right. Well, I'm going to skip over here and ask Bo's first question from the Discord over here. It says, what is your experience when it comes to printers? Is it worthwhile to build and source parts on your own, or is it better or faster / easier to get a kit and improve a few parts?
I'm going to say for a beginner, somebody that doesn't know anything about 3D printers, a kit, well, once again, it all depends on your mechanical ability. If you're good with building things, a kit is good. If you want to learn about how a 3D printer works, functions, moves, and this, that, and the other, a kit is the way to go. Because if you put it together, then if something breaks, you're going to know how it comes apart. Or if something needs to be upgraded, or you want to upgrade something, then you can. As far as building something from scratch, like I'm doing with this Piper and sourcing out the parts, I would say it's more of an experience, intermediate to experience level, or expert level, I would say. I'm going to have to flash the firmware, which both of the machines on the top shelf over there are running a complete custom version of Marlin of mine, which one of them has. I have joined the team of auto bed leveling.
It's great, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, man, that printer that's Mo I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And if any of the questions are which is my favorite printer, Mo is my favorite. Only because he is literally my creation. He's got 3D printed bearings on it. He's got, my ramps board that I designed for the MOSFET to fit inside that case that I have on Thingiverse. He was a major project that I took on without experience. I literally had, bought a kit, put it together, had success, bought a pretty much, 4 bolts and the thing was together, and I had already learned how to tram a bed at that point, so I had it printing within a couple hours. But the experience, here's my experience with 3D printing is that I've turned my hobby into a job.
Right.
YouTube is a job.
Oh, absolutely.
Making those videos the way I've made them in the later part, I've always tried to edit, but the special effects I wasn't able to get because of the software. It wasn't until I invested money into my channel that I was able to, take it to that next level. But I can't open a piece of mail. I can't put a piece of part together. I can't upgrade a printer without breaking out the camera and commentating, talking to myself.
Oh, I get you. And see, I have a lot of problem with that myself, because like I do my mail thing Thursday, I get my mail and I do it in segments as I get it in. Well, as I get it in, I open it and I see what it is, and I want to use it. I want to, But in order to use it, I have to wait for Mail Thing Thursday to come out anyway. You know, but
because you do it live.
Well, I don't do Mail Thing Thursday live. That's the only thing I record and put out there.
Okay.
But I do a live show every morning, and I want to go, hey guys, look what I got. Hey guys, look what I got. And it takes all I can do to have these things like out of camera sight and go, I can't show them. And I still show some of them.
Yeah, but it keeps them coming, you know, waiting for the video for when you open it.
That's my pretty face. They come to see Matt. My pretty face.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's here's I need to address something in the chat. Okay. If you want to say something to Matt in the chat, then tag Matt in the chat. If you want to ask him a question, you can type it to me and I can ask it, or you can type it directly to him and I'll say, Matt, read that question. But if you're on the Discord, you can ask questions in there as well. I have a list of questions over there. I have questions up here. One of the questions from the chat earlier was, do you still use your console? Do you still have it?
My console?
Yes.
Yes, it's right here. And I just printed out a bunch of drone wall mounts.
Okay.
And I've got it tuned pretty well where I just press that button and it just purges, and first layer is just pristine, you know?
Yeah, no, I get you. All right, so let's ask another one of Bo's. What you got?
Rover asked me a question. He made a comment in my video earlier, and he's asking about, I'm not going to print the scoop because I'm going there with a fair chance for everybody. And I don't know if a scoop on the front of my demolition derby car is going to be accepted. But it was a great suggestion.
Right.
I think I just got a couple of rolls of filament to review, and I think I'm actually going to print another car just to go into the demolition because this car is beautiful. I love the colors, and I would hate to watch it get destroyed like they did at Murph, you know?
Yeah.
So it's some inexpensive filament, so it's not going to hurt my feelings to print some free filament and smash up a car.
Hey, look, Daniel Norrie showed up.
Did he really?
Oh, yeah. He comes on Morning Coffee often. So.
Hi, Daniel. He loved my video, and I love Daniel. Daniel's an awesome guy. All right, I didn't really get to talk to him and like get an interview with him because I was still kind of like awestruck from you know, I mean Joel just kind of like, you know, sitting there eating next to him in the restaurant, you know, it's like I was in my glory. I really was.
Right. Well, so if you want to talk to him, I will get my sound card fixed. And Daniel Norrie is on my list for interviews, so you can come back and you'll be able to ask him your question directly. But all right, so we got another question from Bo in the Discord over here, and he said, related to his first question about, you know, buying a kit and all that stuff, what advice can you give to keep motivation when the printer just keeps kicking your ass, even though you've checked and rechecked, the nozzle just keeps jamming or whatever? What keeps you motivated to get it working, to keep going?
I like to have my printers to be called on if necessary. At this point in time, all 6 of my printers are functioning. If I need to make a video, I have them functioning. If it's not functioning, then it's just an opportunity for me to make content as to what I did to fix it. So, but honestly, right now, all of my machines are like running like just top notch. They're tuned in. I got all my profiles on Simplify 3D set to, I could just go in, the settings are there. The only thing I normally change is my infill and maybe turn supports on or not, because I've been printing some things with, you know, supports and stuff, and So but when a problem comes, you know, I try to document it and fix it. And one of my biggest problems has been jams, which is most people's problems. And I'm telling you, the solution for me, because I'm using a lot of hot metal, or all metal, I should say, is canola oil, man. I'm just oiling my filament a little bit with this little oiler that sits as it's going through, and I have not had a jam since.
So is it basically you're running it through like a sponge that's soaked in canola oil? Is that
exactly
what you're doing?
Yep, I've seen that. I got a little 2-part oiler, you know, and before in one of my videos for tips was to just get one as a dust collector, you know, because you know where I was printing was down in my garage to start out, and it was concrete floor, and you know, me being a construction worker, I'd bring home dusty clothes and just go in there and sit down, and you know, this is my man cave. My girlfriend complains that, you know, I don't spend enough time with her, you know, because I'm always up here. But it's like, you know, I'm not a dog. I'm not going to sit there and wait for you to pet me. If you're watching something on TV that I don't like, I'm going to go watch TV or do something in my little man cave, you know.
Right. No, I get there.
I'm right upstairs. You know, if you need me, call me, you know. I'll get a message. One time, all I got was just capital letters, spider! And I stopped what I was doing. I ran down and I killed the spider, you know? So,
well, and my wife told me the other day, because she's coming to Earth with me, and she was at Murph, you know? But at Murph, she knew absolutely nothing about 3D printing. And now, you know, she watches my morning show, and we've been doing it another how many ever months since Murph. And since we're going to Earth, she's like, well, I better learn all I can. But now she can carry on a good conversation with it anyway. So, yeah, it rubbed off on her a little bit.
Absolutely. But, okay. But so to go back to the question,
motivation.
Just to clarify, motivation. 3D printing is not plug and play, regardless of what you may have seen or heard, or, you know, there's even with like these you know why there's not a lot of videos on these color printing things is because there's an extra process behind that whole scene that you have to actually go through. So there's another learning curve in which it takes time. And if you're working a full-time job and then trying to create content and then trying to learn something on top of it, it is a huge plate that I have in front of me. And a lot of times I don't have the energy once I'm done working to even, you know, get in the shower in order to be presentable and to make a video, you know. I'll wait till I'm almost ready to go to bed, and then I'll take a shower and I'll go to bed and I'll wake up with big poofy hair. But the motivation is that I want to learn. I want to be my goal is not just to be a YouTube sensation, but it's also to be eventually that this be my new job. Whether it be repairs, whether it be designing. I actually just mailed out a design that I have been working on for months for him to take the design with the CAD prints that I did through Fusion. I went through the whole process and put dimensions on for a print so he could actually take it to a patent lawyer. Okay. Right. So I'm busy doing stuff. So back to the motivation is that in order to get it to print, I've got to figure out what's wrong. And the good chances are that what's wrong, somebody else is going through it that doesn't know exactly how to fix it either. Social media groups for each one of the printers that I belong to, and they have been a great resource. So the motivation is that, you know, I got to have printers that are work in case, you know, I need to print something. So,
okay.
And learning it, because like I said, it's not a plug and play thing. So it's not like just like, well, there are books, you know, there's literally, you know, lots of books, but it's from people who have been tinkering with it too. But just going out there, researching, you know, experimenting, turn the temperature up. All right. That's the biggest thing I could say is turn the temperature up a little bit, you know, because it's plastic that you're trying to melt and force through a little hole. If it's not hot enough, it's not going to go through the hole. If it's too hot and you don't have good cooling, you know, there's symptoms and characteristics for every problem, and there's a solution for every problem. Because you can get these things to print. The cheapest thing I got here is actually my Delta, I believe, is cheaper than my A-Net. But my A-Net, that thing prints like a dream. It's noisy. It's noisy. I don't run that thing because it's so damn noisy. It really is. I got the original metal bearings in it, and they are just this Piper. It's going to be loud, just because it's got metal bearings rubbing against metal conduit.
Right?
Can you hear this?
Oh yeah, yeah. I had actually thought about that when I saw you building it. I'm like, oh my God.
This is going to be something that going to be an educational piece, you know, because that's something that I thought about doing in the area is finding like a room that I can either get donated, you know, or pay a small fee for, and I just set up, you know, like something on Facebook for classes, sign up for 3D printing classes, you know, where you can have, you know, front access. You know, the first couple will be introductory, and, you know, charge a small fee and, you know, get paid to do this thing, you know.
Well, see, one problem that, and I don't know, where is it? Where do you live in this great country of ours?
Upstate New York.
Upstate New York. Well, where I live at in the swamps down here in Florida. And if you pull up my address in Google Earth and you look around my house, you will see that's exactly where I live. There's not a great interest in 3D printing. Matter of fact, you could probably count on one hand the number of people that know how 3D printers work in my county. Mike Whaley, I was going to get to your question. I'll get to it in just a second. I saw it in Discord. I haven't forgotten. So that's something I thought about, was trying to get a makerspace together, you know, something that, like you said, you could teach younger kids about how to do it, you know? So anyway, all right, my next question, and this, I want you to think about it too, because I've done a couple and I know which one is my most, but what is the most practical thing you have ever taken off of any of your 3D printers? Most practical for use for Matt.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Sweet. I see that. So basically a little money credit card box deal.
I have a money clip before this, and I've been getting paid so much YouTube money. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was just I had a brain fart one day, and this is the first one I did, and PETG, and the amount of money that I normally carry plus the cards, actually, you know, it's a little bit loose, but if I take a coin and stick it in there, it's perfect.
Cool.
So with my money clip, it's just always there. So, and another thing is, I'm going to turn the camera. This is my iPad mini.
Aha, I see.
It's just got the case cover.
Right.
And it's just big enough.
All right.
So, and they were just like the most simplest sketches in Fusion 360. A couple of holes here, a couple holes there, and yeah.
I got you.
But I like, I've done some drone camera mounts and stuff like that the guys are using, and every day they go fly their little mini drones. They have my little camera mount,
Right.
So yeah.
Let me say this. Alex Balaco says, I think what he, I see that. That's a nice little lighter holder that you got there. I hear you. Hey, we used to buy those things, Now you can print them.
I know.
But Alex Balaco, I think he said Matt is not loud. He said it. I don't know. Everybody else, I mean, if somebody can chime in, can y'all hear me?
It's not loud, he said.
No, but I think he meant loud.
Now, the guy that we're talking about, Alex.
Yeah.
He is the designer of the Piper.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Hi,
hey,
Alex.
How are you?
You'll get to meet him at Earth. He's going to be there.
That's cool. I want to say hey to everybody. I'm not going to sit here and say hey to everybody, but the filament god is here, Filament Frenzy. I don't know if you see his pictures. That man's prints are nothing short of exquisite, by the way.
Now, is he on Twitter?
Yeah, it's Filament Frenzy. Yeah, he's on Twitter.
I guess I'll have
you need to follow him on Twitter because his prints are just beyond good. But
okay.
And yeah, Alex said hi, Matt. So and now
yes, I see that.
Blessings. But okay, so we got another question from Mike Whaley. His question for Matt is, how much time after work do you spend with your 3D printers?
Like I said, this is my man cave. So when I come home from work, okay, just to kind of give you an idea as to the layout of my house. So I live in a 2-story, 2-family house. So the first floor is a 3-bedroom,
right?
Kind of, sort of. And the second floor is basically identical.
Right.
So we live in the first floor. But we did live in the second floor because the first floor is under construction. Once we moved down there, because the dog was up here, and the amount of fur that she sheds, she's just stayed up here. So she's crated, she's comfortable with that. But pretty much when I come home, the first thing I do is I let her out to go to the bathroom, and then I pretty much, until my dinner is ready, I stay up here. So I would say 7 to 8 hours a day is spent with, if I'm not working or sleeping or, out and about doing something, because I have, a weekly date night that we go out to the bar and have some beers and wings and stuff like that. And, when the weather's nice, I do like to ride my motorcycle. So, I try to limit myself as to how many videos that I do put out, just so that I'm not like killing myself trying to edit one of these. Because once I sit down and start to edit a video, I really don't stop until it's like right there where I want it. So if you're editing a 12-minute video, it takes 3 hours sometimes just to watch it over. Oh, I got to move that. And it took me 20 minutes just to get, car, game on, just to get those two, just time perfectly and cut the music and, 20 minutes just to get that just right,
I hear you. Well, and it does take a lot of time. I've asked everybody because YouTube is so demanding. Okay. Even for me, and most of my stuff is done live, except for my mail thing video, which I just throw the videos together and sometimes have to voice over. Well, most of the time have to voice over, but because I forget to unmute my mic. But we're, and I've already opened all the mail and said all the stuff, and I'm done with it. And I'm like, okay.
Now you have to remember what you said.
Yeah. Well, so I'm sitting there going, oh, okay, now I'm saying blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Let me make you a suggestion. All right. This was made by Barnacles. All right. Backup, double redundancy. Have your smartphone out recording your voice while you're doing it too.
Yeah. Well, and another thing that one of my subscribers said was just create a whole new profile that on OBS, so that it's used for recording, and you never mute your mic on that one. You know,
Okay.
so that's what I did this past week. So couldn't have that problem again. So anyway,
but anyways, okay. So,
all right,
yes,
so
YouTube is very demanding.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that leads me into my question, or Mike Ash, in your daily life, how much is just now governed by YouTube? Not, you come up and you play with your 3D printers, but you have to stay on top of your YouTube content, or you'll get behind. You'll slip up or whatever. So you have to stay on it. So how much planning, even outside of being up there videoing and stuff like that, how much are you sitting like watching, The Notebook with your girlfriend, and you got a pad in your lap going, okay, well, this is an idea for this. And, how much time do you actually spend on YouTube and 3D printing, but YouTube for the most part?
My mind is always turning and trying to come up with different ideas, because like you have admitted to binging Inside the Mind of Matt.
Yes.
So you've watched. I know the transition that I've made.
Yes.
Where at the beginning I wasn't sure what I wanted to be, whether I wanted to be the Tom of 3D printing, where I was, giving lesson after lesson on how to do this, and this, or whether I was, the nervy, or the other guy that the 365 print project. I still want to see that room full of 365 things that he printed.
Right.
But and it wasn't until I kind of developed my personality, I should say, or just allowed myself to just be me, which I'm a comical kind of, always cracking a joke. Literally, I mean, you will be in a work environment and somebody will say something and it'll just like a key word and a joke, and I'll just break out into a joke.
Right.
So that's kind of where the whole, there's going to be something funny in one of my videos.
Right.
So, and it was because I do a lot of research, and like I said, the things that I've piled on top of my plate, learning how to, first doing the metal casting, researching that, trying to figure out what different chemicals, and finally I'm just going raw, boom, let's just pour the metal and, see what happens. If I can learn some improvements along the way, then I'll do so, but let's just do it raw. And, that it just kind of transitioned into, well, how can we put this effect in? So now I've got to learn how to do this effect, which I can't really do unless I get this software. So now I got the software, and now I got to learn the software on top of making the content, on top of, waiting for the 3D print to actually print, and dealing with failures in the process. And so not just, downloading something from Thingiverse, slicing it, putting it in, and going about my business. I'm having to time lapse it, and so piling all those things on top of each other is where I see this video on this. Well, now he's got this special effect. Well, that's cool. How can I do that? I'm going to clone myself. And then it's just started turning into, what cool special effect, which way. But the predominant one that I saw was on movie making. And they said that within the first 10 seconds of a movie, the opening scene of a movie is where they have the opportunity to psychologically grab you or lose you in the movie.
Right. No,
so that's where, my whole, way of thinking, and how am I going to do this, do something quirky in the beginning. And the response that I'm always trying to get is, if I can make you laugh, all right, you're going to watch my video, because what else is he going to do that's, did anybody really notice the guy peeking out and going like this at the beginning of the video? You know?
Yeah.
But if they didn't, that's fine. But somebody did. You know, somebody got that reference. Somebody got that. And I made them laugh. My goal is accomplished, you know. And that's my motivation to make YouTube videos. When I get, you know, somebody say that, you know, you're like the love child of Dr. Strangelove and Borad, you know, or one of the comments was, you're like the illegitimate child of Mel Brooks. And I'm like, thank you, you know, you get it, you know. So that was where the transition. So that's my thing is I can make a video and say, yeah, reviews are kind of hard to do, you know, because I kind of want to be serious and give, you know, benefit of the doubt, but I'm trying to do projects with reviews instead. You know, this is what I'm going to print with this, you know, and see how it turns out. Uh-oh, I had some problems. We had to do some change and whatever, you know. It all kind of like evolves as you're going.
All right. Well, I've got 2 more questions, and one of them is almost identical to Tom's question in Discord. Filament Frenzy actually asked a question over here, but I'm going to cover part of it with my question, so I'm going to use my question instead. All right. So we talked about your channel's a 1.5 years old, and I have binge watched, I'd have to say 99% of your videos. I don't know that there was one that I skipped over, but there may have been 1 or 2 that I'm like, I don't really want to watch that one. You know,
what color is he going to print?
But you know, that's cool. But okay, so I've seen, and I know that some other people, you know, if you're not subscribed to Matt, his channel is linked in the description down below. So go subscribe and go check out his stuff, because it's actually really good. And you can watch the progression over the last 1.5 years of Inside the Mind of Matt. But saying that, where do you go from here? What is your, and I know you said you wanted to make that your business, but what is your end game with YouTube other than making it your business? I mean, what do you want to, are you putting stuff out there just for the entertainment value? Or, and I know there's a serious side to it because you're building printers and you're showing stuff, and especially with some of your earlier stuff, you know, you were like, hey, these upgrades on the ANET A8 and that type of stuff. And you've transitioned, I don't want to say away from that, but it's not as much of that. So what's your next phase of YouTube? What is your goal?
That's a good question.
I mean, when somebody says, hey, have you seen Inside the Mind of Matt? He is this guy. You know, what do you want there? What do you want them to say? I go to him for, or I go watch him because.
You know, that's a really good question, because like with the whole comedy thing, you know, I was actually, one of my next one, I was going to come in and I was going to be a robot and I was going to be very serious because some people don't get my sense of humor, you know, kind of, you know, not necessarily being mockery, but, you know, but anyways, that's kind of the way my mind works. But I don't know. I'm building one now. I mean, I really like to be able to experiment. One of my ideas has been to, like we were kind of talking about in the gaming, some of these events that I've been going to, like the drone stuff. Excuse me. I'm actually meeting other makers, you know, other guys that have 3D printers, laser cutters, CNC machines. So my thought was I would do like a little series where, you know, I go and I meet other makers in my area and see what their maker space is. What are you working on? You know, just to share the inspiration of, you know, people other than me in my area that don't necessarily have the ability to share it, or the ambition to, you know, make videos, or do make videos that don't have a lot of subscribers and is looking for, you know, somebody a little bit more established to kind of expose them and stuff like that. I don't know. I think there's still a lot to learn. So, you know, that's kind of what my initial ambition and kind of mantra would be, is that, you know, I'm a beginner that's learning. And as I'm learning, I'm sharing. And, you know, eventually, you know, I'll be, you know,
Right.
good enough where I'm, you know, I mean, I'm, like I said, I got a custom version of Marlin running in both of my machines. You know, that's something that's, you know, no matter how many different videos that you watch from different creators, you're going to get something from each one of them. It's called iteration, you know?
Right.
So the way that one guy puts it out is going to be different from the way that I put it out. You know, me breaking it down into, you know, terms that, you know, guys like me can understand, versus, you know, well, I don't know what the hell he's talking about when he's, you know, talking about magnetism in the coils of the stepper motors, and you know, so that's, I mean, I still, like I said, I still think that there's a lot to learn, a lot to still be able to share. And so it's going to be an evolution, you know.
Okay.
Continue to work on different projects, and hopefully to gain. One of the things that you don't get a lot from the audience is suggestions. That's for sure.
Right.
Or tangible or executionable ones, you know.
Right.
But you know, it would be nice to be able to, like I said, do a collaboration with somebody where, you know, I don't know if you are a subscriber of Chaos Cortex.
Yes.
Where he just, you know, they've got the traveling 3D printer.
Yeah.
You know, one of my ideas is getting, you know, my actual life aspiration would be to, as I'm sitting in my home, if I don't like the weather, I will start it up and drive it somewhere where it is. Hauling a big trailer full of 3D printers.
Right.
You know, and just have, you know, it's literally a business that you could travel with, you know.
Right.
Just getting from point A to point B is just, you know, go set up at fairs, you know, with a bunch of printers printing. But the thing is that I want to print something that, well, first, something that I've designed, but something that when somebody walks by, they'll be like, oh, is that what I think it is? Do you got a blue one? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
So the fidget spinner craze, I don't know if you got in on that, but I made some money.
I know.
Lots
of people did. Lots of people did. And I got my first printer about the waning hour of fidget spinners.
When I was waiting on my bearings. I had an order of 200 bearings that I found for a deal that just, it was too good to be true. And it was too good to be true. 100 bearings for $5. So I bought 200 of them, and I waited 3 weeks for them, and they never came.
All right. Well, I've got the rest of Filament Frenzy's question, and then I've got one of my own, and then there's a couple more in the thing over here that I'm going to ask. But we're going to ask Filament Frenzy's first, because it's a general question, and it's pretty much asked of everybody that comes on here. Okay. Where do you see 3D printing going, and what would you like to see come about in 3D printing? As far as the technology and that type of stuff, what do you, when you buy a 3D printer, I'm not going to say what's your perfect machine, but what would you love it to have? Just, it needs these features for it to be my go-to.
Oh. Well, see, I haven't had experience with anything other than kind of the entry-level hobbyist 3D printer, you know.
Right.
But watching Joe Telling open up his third Robo,
Right.
which is, you know, a $1,200 machine, and it have a bent part in it, just like the other ones. I don't know if there is really a perfect machine, because I understand machines. They're only as smart as the operator.
Right.
You know, and I mean that with all genuine respect to everybody that's got a 3D printer, that, you know, if you don't understand the way it functions, then it's hard to troubleshoot something, you know.
Right.
If you don't know how a three-way switch works, you know, to try to replace one, you know, it's always ends in the same way, which is me being there and reversing the travelers because you hooked it up the wrong way. That's all.
Right.
You know?
No, I got you.
So, I mean, you said it in one of your streams I was watching, and it was kind of one of those kind of aha moments where it was kind of just put into terms where it explains it in a perfect manner. And you said that it is nothing but a hot glue gun in high precision.
That's it.
That's it.
Well, and don't get me wrong, they can aggravate the snot out of you, but when the software is the most complex part of this machine, the machines are simple. They lay down plastic in layers based on a pattern that you design.
Correct.
Now, to get them to do all of that correctly all the time is a pain in the arse. But
yes. So the question was, where would I like to see 3D printing going? What I believe that is going to be the kind of that little hump that we're going to get over in the technology field, that's going to make it the difference between, you know, me and you tinkering with it and everybody having one, which is when the scanning becomes, you know, more.
So basically a 3D copy machine.
Basically, you know.
Yeah, so scan to print is accurate and functional.
Yep. You know, okay. I want a vase, or just being, you know, having, in order for it to be accessible for everybody, where you're not going to have to take it apart. I mean, they're going to have to re-engineer everything. I mean, it's just not the nature of the beast. It's just not something that you're just going to put in every home, and they're just going to sit down on the computer and choose something, and you know, because that's what a lot of people think, that it's just literally I download this STL and I put it on a, you know, an SD card, and I put it in the machine and it's going to print. Why ain't it printed? I put an STL in it.
Right.
Well, did you slice it? Slice it. What do you mean? You know, you know. So it was in my song. You know, extruding or slicing. This all confuses me. You know, but the one video I made on how to put a G code, how to print from an SD card, it came about because I ended up at some 87-year-old man's house, that the guy at the electronics store gave him my number, and he called me and asked me if I'd come over and teach him a couple of things about his new 3D printer.
Oh, wow.
87 years old.
That's cool.
Yeah, but that's exactly what he was doing, is he was downloading a file, putting the STL on the card, putting it in the machine, and he
wondered why it didn't print,
you know.
Right. I got you.
He was a machinist by trade, you know. That's what he did so this thing was trammed and set up and, you know, milled out and measured exactly, but it's the software side of this thing that is really the obstacle.
Right. I got you. Well, Robbie Mack over here in the Discord, he's got a little statement here, and then he's got a question at the end of it. He said, I once made a spool holder from a cardboard box and a dowel, then later improved it by simply hanging wire from a shelf. Both of these were quick fixes, not elegant, but simple and functional. what's your favorite hack you came up with for a 3D printer or making something? What's your favorite hack? Just hack. And you know it's a hack, but it's functional, and you're like, I can't even really improve it. It's doing what it's supposed to do.
That's 3D printed.
Well, no, it doesn't have to be. His was cardboard and a dowel, but used for 3D printing, like a spool holder, or you know, you stuck a stepper motor on with some gum or something. I don't know. Yeah. Duct tape and baling wire.
I don't know if I've actually done any hack jobs like that on. I mean, zip ties, you know, they're your friend. But I mean, I have tools, I have parts, I have things that, you know, I've tinkered with. So if something like that needs to be, you know, I think that this is the solution. You know, I come up with something that I need, and I try to design it and 3D print it.
Right, right.
You know, like my spool holders for this rack I got. I'm going to take my headphones out for a second. But I started out, if you watched me printing the bronze filament, I had this huge roll of filament, you know, it was like this big around, but I needed a big spool holder, so check, you know. I had a piece of 3/8 threaded rod going across with a modified version of this, you know, that, you know, was smaller for the 3/8, but then I started, you know, breaking out the pipe, you know, to make the printer. And I started, you know, having a couple of scrap pieces that were short enough. So I, you know, made it up so that it holds my 1/2 inch in. So, you know, that's probably one of the most useful things for the 3D printer. But I mean, like I showed you the wall hanger, and, you know, I try to print useful things, not Pokemons. And so I don't really have a lot of stuff like that. Like, I got a toothbrush holder in the bathroom that's 3D printed. There's a big, huge brush holder that I made for her for all her makeup brushes. And I got a pen holder and stuff like. So there's 3D printed things that are all over the place. She got cookie cutters. I make her cookie cutters.
Right.
You know, I've actually printed decorations for the tops of cakes, because she likes to make cakes, you know, with fancy decorations on it. So I've made several different cookie cutters and stuff like that for her. And so yeah, I try to like make useful stuff, except for I print a shit ton of benchies. I got a line of benchies up top.
You know, there's a thing on Thingiverse that you can take and you print it out, and it's like a dry dock for benchies where you can just slide them in and store them in like a nice square area.
I gotta look at that. But
John Mack, one of my subscribers, has one in his house. When I walked in, he's got like these 20 benches are in this block, and they're just slid into their little cubby holes. It's pretty cool looking.
So yeah, I mean, that's the problem with the YouTube thing, is like to sit down and to design something takes time, you know, and I can't work on a video if I'm designing something, you know, and try to screen record on this computer and while I'm designing. And I'm not like Garrett, you know, where he's designing and did the whole Iron Giant on, you know, that's like, you know, I'm not that good yet, you know, and that's my niche. You know, I'm not printing a whole lot of crap, you know. Yeah, I do have a shelf of, you know, I like dragons and stuff like that, but, you know, it's been really a lot of upgrades, you know, figuring out how things work and printing test cubes, and, you know, I don't have a lot of failed stuff laying around, you know.
Okay, well, that Robbie Mack actually said that was perfect. That was the little hanger thing. That was a perfect answer. So
okay.
All right, so we've got one more from the Discord over here, and you know, and I've got one more of my own, and then they can ask some more. We've got, you know, 10, 11 minutes or so. All right, so what's the hardest print you've ever done? The hardest thing to print you've ever printed? And don't give anything away, because we talked about something earlier. If you did any of that, I don't want to know anything about it.
The Stormtrooper by far.
Okay.
Just getting the proper scaling down so it was going to fit me. I had to print several parts, that took 12 hours plus over, because, once I got them done, they just didn't fit. I still have to print another lower leg. But yeah, the sizing something to wear is definitely probably one of the hardest things that you could probably, try to accomplish in the 3D printing, I believe. So,
okay. Well, I've got one question left. Okay. Because I don't know how big your room is. I don't know how much room you have left in that room. but as you can see, they can't really see it, but behind me, and they watch me every morning, so they know I have 0 room left. Okay. I am enjoying the Piper build, and I would love to have one. I have nowhere. My wife's not going to let me put it on the dining room table. But, okay, so you're building a Piper. What is your projected use for that printer? Because it's large. It's very, very large. What are you going to print on that damn Piper?
I have asked myself that question as well. Okay, so just so that we know how it is going to be big. It is going to have a volcano.
Okay.
I have, I believe, a 1.2 millimeter nozzle as the biggest one, and they vary all the way down to 0.4. So some experiments, I one of the videos that I would like to make is, because I have all these different size nozzles for the same printers, just printing the same thing multiple times, and at the different resolutions with the different nozzles, just to see what the print quality is,
Right.
But I'm thinking some airplane parts.
Really?
Some remote control airplanes. My drone buddy is like diehard been trying to get me into the tiny whips, but he's been making and trading for airplanes. I went to his house last night, and he's got a wall of battery operated airplanes, and he's trying to get me to buy one. And I actually bought a remote from him because it was such a good deal. I had to. But I'm going to buy a cheap little airplane, and I'm going to get back in the air. But I'm thinking, because it's be really tall, that I'll be able to print like full fuselages and full wings without having to glue a lot of stuff together. So,
okay. Well, I mean, what size bed are you planning? Are you thinking?
It's going to be a 500 by 500.
Okay.
And by his math, he's saying it's a cubic. 500, but right. I got a 700 millimeter lead screw.
Yeah, but you also got to remember that.
Yeah, I'm going to have a portion of it taken off, but because I don't have a bed yet, and I'm not going to go with a heated bed to start out with.
Okay.
Just because it's going to cost me, like $300 for a heated bed to get something worth it. But PLA, I know how to make PLA stick to glass all day, every day.
I got you.
My castle doesn't have a heated bed, so I thought about designing like some kind of like tool stool, with different holders and maybe a drawer in it for I can print a stool like the Part Daddy can.
Right.
Some art pieces, maybe some garden gnomes. I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask Bo's question here because he asked it earlier and I didn't get to it. And okay. I know that it will, but he asked, does the oil work with the E3D V6? And what is the oil you're using? Can you type it out in the chat, to let him know what oil it is? But I'll answer the other question, Matt. The oil will work with an E3D V6 all metal hot end, because the oil is actually on a sponge and the filament runs through it, Bo. So it really has nothing to do with the hot end. It will work.
Yeah, here's the theory behind this, okay? So that we have an understanding that I got one of those aha moments. An all metal hot end. This is what we're talking about. So an all metal, you know, the Micro Swiss, the E3Ds and some of the other stuff. We're talking all metal where the PTF is, there's a heat break which is metal. When you cook, you're cooking a starch-based material in a hot pan with a hot metal pan. You put some lubricant between it so it doesn't stick. Well, PLA is where you're susceptible to this jamming because what's happening is the all metal is cooking and it's sticking. PLA is a starch-based filament, a starch-based plastic that it will burn and stick to metal. So you put a little bit of lubricant. I'm telling you, I have not had a jam one time. I have not taken that thing apart in 25 prints I've gotten out of it since I've been oiling.
Cool, man. That's awesome.
And it was Protopastas got glitters they put in it. And it was just, I had a roll of the candy apple red that I did a little bit of commission work for Bob Young. I printed a ton of parts. And the first two parts I kept jamming. And Tim Hoagland over at TH, he's like, throw some oil on there. And I did. And I'll swear by it.
Well, and you know, it's got to help because, like, I got a roll of purple filament, as you can see on top of the, you can see, I don't think they can, on the top of my bender here. And as it was going through, I was letting it run through my fingers, and the purple dust was just building up on my fingers.
Okay.
And that's before the extruder, because this is a Bowden system. So that much filament powder, and I don't know how they got filament powder on the filament while it was winding, but it was purple powder. So, you know, that I can understand that would help tremendously, because that would build up inside your nozzle right at your heat break, and then you're causing a jam, you know. Yep. So yeah, I get that completely. All right, well, listen, I have no more questions. No, if y'all have any questions, you better get them quick, because I'm going to turn this over to Matt for a second. And I'm going to say, if you're not subscribed to Matt, his channel is in the description. Go subscribe and like this man's channel, and watch his videos, because they're informative and they're funny. I mean, look at his face. How could it not be funny? I
really, just so that you guys understand, that I really do put an effort into the editing process, you know. And if you don't like something, then a thumbs down doesn't tell me anything, you know. So because I could be having haters, which I don't get a lot of thumbs down, but constructive criticism, I'm more than willing to like change something up, or I mean, got suggestions to you know, to do something, things like that help out comic or content creators, because sometimes, you know, we're human. We don't come up with ideas that easy sometimes, you know. So we have a suggestion that, oh yeah, I remember he such and such said that, you know, make this, you know, because the scoop on the front of the RC car, I don't know if Daniel's still here, but that's an awesome idea, you know, have like a, you know, hardcore racing, but, you know, ideas and sharing thoughts other than great video, which, I mean, compliments are great, and if that's all it is, then that's what it is. But, you know, for anyone that you guys are following, you know, be part of it, you know, make suggestions, give a constructive comment where, you know, hey, I learned this, or because that helps us out knowing that, you know, all right, that was the right thing to do, or, you know, nobody liked my song, you know, nobody liked my song.
Yeah,
that's okay. It's not for everybody, you know. Some people really like my voice, and some people say, hey, dude, you want to shut up? I'm trying to listen to radio. But no, I don't script. Rover's asking, I can see in the chat. Most of the time I don't script. It's all just off the cuff. the camera starts to roll and I stammer and stutter and cut out a lot of stuff and have to edit and retake, and it's never a perfect shot the first time. So
I wouldn't know anything about those perfect shots the first time at all, ever. But all right, well, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's what we got. Matrix Clone said, how do you get PLA to stick to glass? And have you made a video about your filament oilers? You know.
I haven't made a video about the oilers. I've mentioned it in a video, but not with the oil. I don't know. I mean, other than just mentioning it, I would just be demonstrating me getting a jam and then not getting a jam. But at this point, I think that if you print enough and you're oiled, you know, it's kind of like tinning it. You know, the metal is a little bit, you know, porous, and it's gonna absorb that, and it's just that extra little buffer. And once in a while, and this is only with PLA. You know, if you're printing PETG and other stuff like that, you don't need to do that because it's not starch base. And as far as my bed adhesion has been and will be until I run out of it, Tesla goo. He sent me some to test, and I haven't made a video about it yet, but I plan on it. But I'm telling you, this stuff is just, it works, and I don't have to put it on every time, and it just works with PETG, PLA. It just works as long as you get that first layer down.
Cool, man.
It just works. But hairspray before that was a you know, it's a tried and true method, so it works if you don't got a hold of no Tesla goo. But Tesla goo is definitely let's see. Oh yes, if I change the ABS PG, the oiler screws up things. Yeah, you don't want to print, and it will work on a Bowden tube as well as a direct drive. So, because I have both. So,
all right, Matt. Well, I want to thank you first and foremost for being here. Okay.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you being here, and we will get many views after today on these videos, because they do stack up. People come and find them, and they stack up. So I'm going to kick over here, and I'm going to say goodbye to these good folks, and you can say goodbye if you like. Okay.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for stopping by.
I'm going to kick over and say goodbye to everybody, and then I'll hit the stop broadcast button, and then I'll talk to you after it's over. All right, guys, that has been Matt Snow from Inside the Mind of Matt, and a gracious guest to answer all your guys' questions. And to sit here for an hour and 15 minutes, actually longer because we were on before, trying to get the sound to work. So, you know, like the video, give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down. Let me know what you want to see change. I am sorry about the technical difficulties with the sound. If you're not subscribed to Matt, go down, click on his channel. It's down in the description below, and go check him out and subscribe to his channel. If you're not subscribed to my channel, click the subscribe button, ring that bell. I try to do one of these a week with different makers, and hopefully I'll have the sound done for the live call-in the next time. But this is Walter from Kuntry 3D, and that was Inside the Mind of Matt.